Hi, Tony.
Hi, Regina.
I got in. It took me, well, the problem was that I had to sign out of my regular Zoom account and sign into Chris's, and I couldn't for the life of me figure out how to do that because it automatically logs me in as me. So I figured it out. I'm just going to grab some water.
I'm glad you got in, Gina.
Thanks, Chris.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Tony. Hi, Gina.
I don't know, Regina. As soon as you showed up, Regina left.
Yeah.
How's everything out in the real world? I haven't been there since 7 o'clock this morning.
Good. I just came from the field. Both Jonathan and Charlie had baseball games. So I just left there and ran over here. So they're having fun.
It's a wonderful day for baseball.
Yeah, it's windy.
Yeah, I can see that.
But yeah, it's nice to be outside. How's everything there?
Good.
Say about your special ed person.
Yes. Yeah, we're all signed up. And I'll talk about her tonight. Yeah, we're in good shape.
That's great.
Kevin is about to start the hiring process for fourth grade teacher.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what I can say or what I can't say. So I'm just going to say it. But Mr. Aurora has been awesome. Like Jonathan is just so happy.
Yeah, there was no process for him, though. I mean, I take full credit.
Oh, I know. Oh, I know. But I just, I don't know what you guys are thinking, but I mean.
I take full credit for hiring him, but we have to have a process.
Oh, yeah, no, I just wanted to give that feedback, like just from a parent's perspective. He's really easy. He has great communication.
Michelle, you're breaking up to me. Is she breaking
am
up?
I?
No, I'm fine.
Oh, all right, so that's just me.
I think. Well, it sounded fine to me.
Sometimes that happens, and sometimes I just call in on my phone.
It's just a little bit. It's not too bad.
Oh, yeah, I guess you're right. A little bit.
All right, you know what? I'm going to disconnect my computer audio, and I'm going to call in.
Okay.
Hi, Ruth.
Hi, how are you?
How's vacation?
It looks lovely there.
Weather's warm. Breezy.
So, Regina, just so you're not surprised, I'm going to give a report on the preschool finances during the budget, during the fiscal 21 budget discussion.
Sounds good.
And it's not good.
Oh, well, that doesn't sound good.
We have I just want the school committee to know that letters are going out.
Okay.
Good evening, Ms. Anderson.
Hello, Dr. Pierantozzi.
Shall please call me Tony.
Nice to meet you, Tony. Thank you. Please call me Beth, definitely.
I will.
Welcome, Beth. Excited to have
Hi,
you
everybody.
here.
Michelle, I got the Little League helmet. Thank goodness.
And Beth, did you get everything I sent you that you need?
I saw the agenda, the minutes, and the information regarding the special session we're going to go into.
Okay. And I sent a new agenda with all the backup. That's kind of what we do. On a Thursday, we send out what we have, and then usually the day of the meeting, I update it because we may have a bill we have to pay. Or today yesterday we got our special education determination, so I want to get that out in the community right away.
Yep, I saw that.
Okay.
Yeah, the last packet I got from you was 207. Is that right? Plus the.
That is correct. Yep.
Okay, great.
Yeah, usually it'll be around 1:32. I won't do it at 5 p.m.
All good.
Thank you for not doing it at 5 p.m.
Yeah,
I've certainly been on boards where that was the case.
So Lauren's not coming tonight.
no, I spoke with her earlier. She is not. She is on her way to a far, far better place.
I'm jealous.
I am too.
All right, where's she going?
She's going somewhere warm, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
She's going on vacation.
I can't find the call-in information
Um,
for the meeting, so hopefully I won't have to talk much.
Michelle, I can look for it, but since we're all here, I think we can get the meeting started.
I'm fine.
Okay.
What are you looking for, Michelle? The link?
Oh, the phone number. I think we've had trouble with this in the past because we usually just have the Zoom link.
Michelle, you want me to give you the numbers and the code, and you
No.
can?
No, it's the phone number that she's looking for. There's
Yeah,
a-
where my communication is spotty, I was gonna call in, but it's okay. I'll just wing it.
I don't know, can a Zoom meeting be set up without a phone number? Because I have the actual
I don't know.
information, like I signed in from,
I think if it's a smartphone, you can use the same exact numbers and code in your smartphone.
All right, let me see.
yeah, I'm looking in the meeting information, Michelle, and I don't see it.
There you are.
Okay, hold on, let me just. Okay, how's that?
That's much better.
And you have to, on your computer, you have to turn your sound off and turn your mic off.
Okay.
Yeah, that's much better.
Great. So if we're all ready, I can call the meeting to order at 7:03. We can start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag
Of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
and I'd like to start the meeting by welcoming Beth Anderson, our newest school committee member. Welcome, Beth.
Welcome, Beth.
Welcome, Ben.
Thanks, team. Glad to be here.
And we can look at the minutes from April 27th, our last regular meeting. And if there's any discussion regarding the minutes. Seeing no discussion, can I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the regular meeting on April 27th, 2021? And Beth, you'll abstain from this.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes dated April 27th, 2021.
I second that motion.
All in favor by a show of hands? Ms. Karas, Ms. Dam, and myself. Motion passed. And then I'll pass it along to you, Mr. Parentozzi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item number 4 is an examination and authorization of payment of bills. The total amount this evening is $71,607,060.63. And they're very typical bills. I just want to point out a couple of things. There's a $442.50 Northeast nursery bill. That is a gross bill, and later in the meeting, I will talk about a donation that's covering the vast percentage of that. And O'Neill Consulting, $343.80. That's a bill that's very important. That's 10% of our federal reimbursement for E-rate. We pay a consultant to do all of our crazy paperwork that, frankly, none of us educators understand. And that's 10% of our federal E-rate allotment. So we actually get, 9 times that back by spending the 343 in a reduction of technology connectivity services. The NRT bus bill is large as compared to the last couple of months because we have another student who left us went to an out-of-district placement. And other than that, it's the consortium, the town of Swampscott for special education services, some repairs, extermination, and that's about it. So, Madam Chair, with your permission, I'd like to ask a member of the school committee to make a motion to authorize the expenditure of $71,607.63, and we'll take a second, and then obviously any questions thereafter.
I'll make a motion to approve $71,607.63 for the approval of invoices that need to be paid.
Thank you.
I second that.
Any discussion? All in favor of approving the invoices by show of hands? As far as Ms. Anderson and Ms. Dan? And myself. Thank you, Mr. Carapazzi.
Thank you. So, Madam Chair, with your permission, I'll move right on to 5. And 5A is a COVID update. Wonderful news. We have one citizen in the entire town who has an active case of COVID-19. And the public health department has informed me that that person, unless they get additional symptoms, will be dismissed from the active list, which will mean we have, I think by Thursday, unless there's news cases, we won't have any. So in the Johnson Elementary School, we have 0 cases, 0 contacts, and 0 individuals on quarantine or isolation. That would be students or staff.
Great.
Some of the latest news about COVID-19 is we are looking at the 12 to 15-year-old range now for vaccinations. The rollout will be this week. It will be Pfizer only. And we're waiting for the directions. I know there's a big information rollout tomorrow. So by Thursday, we should know what is going to be happening. Some interesting data is we have 505 Nahant residents in the official calculation who are 0 to 19. Only 6.5 of them are fully vaccinated. And that's for a variety of reasons. Number one, most of them are too young to have had the vaccination yet. And number two, there's probably some parent-guardian reluctance because parents, guardians may be worried about the reaction, or they may think that individuals who are that young don't need the vaccination. We want to compare that to our Nahant residents from 70 years old to 74 years old, who are 94% fully vaccinated, which is terrific. The average age of Nahanters who are hospitalized has dropped to 60, which is also good. And in the entire month of April, we only had 4 cases. So things are going very, very well. To the point that this evening, when we talk about facilities, I will recommend that we open up our outdoor facilities for people to use our facility use process. And that's about it, unless there are any questions, Madam Chair. Okay, I will move.
Person has a question.
Tony, I just want to say that as a fellow school leader in my other life, when I'm not being a Nahant mom, it's been a heck of a lift to keep school buildings safe to the point that Nahant would have these records, would have such few cases and such a good school year. And so I just want to congratulate Mr. Andrews for all the work that he and the team have done to make sure that our children are safe. They're one of the few districts that was in school the entire year. And it's just a hell of a job. So I hope as the light now is at the end of the tunnel, I think, knock on wood, I just want to say thank you as a mom and as a colleague in the world. What a great job.
Madam Chair, through you, we've had a wonderful team. The team has been led by our school nurse, Cheryl Delicio, and by our public health nurse, Deb Murphy. They have done, and Kevin and I make really good decisions. We listen to the people who know what they're talking about. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, it may even be counterintuitive, but we really have done that. And other than the day and a half right before the winter break, we've been open every day, and we have not had one transmission within the school or on our property. And I'm going to knock on my head. So let's keep it going. But thank you for the kind words.
Absolutely.
And the staff has been remarkably attentive to the protocols too. And now we're all fully vaccinated as staff members. So, there's lots of good things going on. And we're beginning to open up. We're going to have a 6th grade move-up ceremony, and we're going to have some activities too. Obviously most of them outside, but we can do that because of the record we have, and we're real proud of it. And, very, very pleased that we worked as such a good team. And the school committee gave us protocols in August that were way ahead of the game. That's the other thing we had going for us. We had a school committee with members who are medically knowledgeable and told us, follow the science. And we did. So thanks to the school committee too. Madam Chair, 5B is the Public Library Partnership Update. And so the only thing I want you to know is that I don't have anything to report. I probably will next meeting. I did meet with the president of the NTA recently, and she has some concerns from her membership. And we did a little rewriting of some of the draft concepts, which I'll work on, and I'll share them with our public library director and with the NTA. They still are looking and discussing the impact of having a non-union person teaching library in their school. So I don't know how they're going to go at that one, but I will continue to update you. As I said, I did meet with the president within the last couple days, and we will continue to work on that. I think most of us are really in favor of having a professional librarian work with our children in our library as compared to someone without that kind of a background. But, there are I's to be dotted and T's to be crossed before that can happen.
Thank you for the update.
You're welcome. So the solar energy LED projects update, we're still waiting for the Green Communities grant return, which won't be coming soon. We're optimistic that we're going to get that so that we can work on an LED project ASAP. In the packet labeled 5C, you see a new financial, which I had shared with you a while ago. Now the Solid Energy is predicting, I guess it's a prediction, that if we sign the PPA, and by the way, I have confirmed that the PPA can be entered into by a vote of the school committee and the Board of Selectmen. We do not have to go to town meeting. So the timing is not as critical as it would have been. But the PPA will save us about $207,883. That's obviously an estimate, with everything else being equal. As I said last meeting, the one concern I have, and I am waiting to hear back from the power third party, is what happens if we overproduce, because right now we would be paying for electricity at a lower rate, to be sure, $0.11, but we would only be paid 0.03 or 0.04 for overproduction. So we want to see if we can close that gap. But even without doing so, there's a $200,000 savings over the first 20 years, in addition to obviously environmental issues being positive. So we are continuing to work on that.
And the grant for that is expected over the summer. Is that what it was, July?
That's a really good question.
Okay.
The my guess is that it may be delayed to a vacation or a long weekend, or we may be waiting to next summer. I don't know. I don't know the length of time. Obviously, we don't want people banging around on the roof when school's in session. The LED conversion is much easier because we can shut off rooms and, move students around and avoid it. I'm not sure if we can do that with the solar.
No, I was asking the grant that we were waiting to hear about. Are we going to hear about whether or not we get the grant? I think you had said by July. It was
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that the grants for LED, not solar.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's just LED.
Mhm.
And that's for 7 sites in town. It's a $195,000 grant request, I believe. And our conversion would be, remember, we're in 2 stages. So the first stage, that's about $72,000 for us and the rest for other departments. And then we have a second stage, which would be the phase 3 of the Green Communities grant, because phase 1 was the streetlight conversion, which is now done. Okay. The fiscal 21 budget update, we're still in real good shape. We have avoided some significant costs in special education tuitions and transportation. And our staff costs, some of the additional costs of staffing for COVID-related items have been paid for and will be paid for by the federal monies that the town and we receive. So we're in great shape. I do want to make a report to you about our preschool, though. If you remember, from March to June of last year, we allowed parents to send their children to our preschool program with no charge. We felt that that was the right thing to do. And I supported that. As a matter of fact, I recommended that to you. So we had a group of parents having preschool basically paid for by the taxpayers. In September, anyone who had paid anything into our coffers, we credited them for the beginning of September. So if somebody had paid for the entire month of March and they didn't ask for their money back, we rolled that money forward and we credited it to them. In addition, we didn't start charging until September 21st because that was when we opened the school. If you remember, there was a 10-day delay, a 10 working day delay. We have not charged any parent or guardian late fees, which we can by the guidelines that they all, when they sign up, there is a paragraph that says we can charge late fees for delinquent payments. Once again, I didn't think this is the right year to do that. Obviously, there's lots going on in people's personal finances. Nor have we suspended any student from going to our preschool because their payment is outstanding. But I think it's important for you to understand that we're going to be sending some reminders out because we are now owed, as of Monday, $22,605.38 of outstanding preschool tuitions. That's a big number. That's a big number for anybody, but particularly for a little school district like us. At this point, I'm going to continue to recommend, because we're still in a pandemic, that no child be excluded and that we don't charge late fees. But parents and guardians are going to start getting, usually we just send them a reminder, which is something we do from a spreadsheet. But Mr. Andrews and I will begin sending more direct letters. We have parents and guardians who are in the multiple thousands of dollars of arrears right now. And of course, the more time goes on, the bigger that number gets and the harder, the harder it gets to pay up. So I did want you to know that. Other than that micro issue, everything else about the 2021 budget is in great shape.
Well, that's theoretically fixable, so that's good. When you were saying that we weren't in a good place for the preschool program, I didn't know if because of the numbers of attendance, if it put us in a bad position, but it's more just that people owe money.
Yeah, if 100% of the payments were made, we will have lost about $10,000 from March until the end of this school year, which for not charging for March, April, May, and June, obviously is real good.
Right, in half of September, really.
Right. And we do have that funds in the revolving account to make up for, to pay for it. We will still be in the black. Obviously, we'll be running down the balance.
And we're adjusting tuition in the fall, correct?
Pardon me?
We're adjusting tuition in the fall.
Yes. Yeah, we are going to be going with the new tuition rates in the fall, which are more of a business model approved by the school committee. Okay. Thank you. 5E, the packet is outdated because yesterday the chair and a member of the school committee who had served with us on the negotiating team received the information from the chair of the Swampscott School Committee, which I have forwarded to you. We just got it yesterday. So, Madam Chair, we need to have an executive session discussion about that, which would be on the 25th of May. And then ultimately have a public airing at basically the same time as the Swampscott School Committee. It probably can't be exactly the same because of the days of the week are different for school committee meetings. But the good news is that we do have a draft of the both the contract and the MOA. And we will be talking about those down the road. The facility use update, I don't believe this requires any action by the school committee, but but that's up to you, Madam Chair. I would like to begin allowing our constituents, parents, guardians, and organizations in the community to begin using our outdoor facility, our fields, or our basketball courts for activities, obviously following the appropriate protocols and precautions. That is consistent with what the governor and the Commissioner of Education have decided about outdoor activities.
Is that something that was when COVID happened and we closed? I don't think it was something that was voted upon. So is it something that should be voted upon to allow use again?
You know, the more I think about that, the more I think perhaps a vote should be taken, because the reopening plan probably and I apologize, I didn't reread it today. The reopening plan did close the facility. So
reopening plan. That was
yeah,
at the end of last year, or the beginning. It would have been the beginning of this school year.
Yes, it was passed by the school committee unanimously in August, and it did close the school to outside use. Okay. So just to be sure, to make sure all of our ducks are in a row and there's no confusion, I think a motion to open up the outdoor facilities, fields, and basketball court to community use with the appropriate precautions would be the most appropriate action to take.
So would interested groups that want to use the facilities would reach out to Mr. Andrews or yourself with a proposal that would have to be approved to be within the COVID guidelines? Is that how that would work out typically?
Yes, it would be a two-stepper. Number one, we have a facilities use process that has been in place for many, many years, that they would have to fill out a form, tell us the objective, whether they're profit or nonprofit, and there's a cost if they're a profit organization. It's not free. Nonprofits, we typically waive the fee. They would have to abide by our guidelines in terms of COVID-19 protocols. We would have our nurse look at the protocols and the request, as we always do. So, for example, they would have to make sure that they had all of the health potentials covered. In terms if somebody got sick or somebody had an allergic reaction, etc. The thing that's different now is then after our approval, it would have to go to the public health department for their approval, because we're within the town of Nahant. So it would be a two-step process.
So if a class wanted to have a class fundraiser on the school grounds outdoors, that would be through this process, in other words?
Yes.
Okay.
Which is typical. The typical thing would be for them to contact, for example, Mr. Andrews, fill out the paperwork, and we would approve it. The second step now that overlays it is that the public health department would need to approve it to make sure it meets all of their protocol parameters.
Would we post guidelines for what's expected for COVID somewhere?
I'm not sure I should.
Yeah, because it's ever changing.
And not only that, but they're not my guidelines. They're the towns and the public health department. So I'm more comfortable with us approving it than telling them. And I did speak to the public health nurse about this today, and she agrees that that's the most timely and easiest way to go. So for example, if we decline the request for any reason, then it doesn't even have to go to the public health department because they're very busy, obviously. And
Mr.
then-
Parentozzi, the mass.gov website, if there are people who are looking to find out what rules or regulations they need to follow for outdoor use, it's all posted there. It could be a bit challenging for navigation, but I had to do it for soccer. And so there's outdoor recreation use, there's facility use. So there's all sorts of guidelines there that you can recommend people to. And Gina, if you want to, I can provide you guys with the link there, but it is, final approval for what the state has mandated.
Yeah, I'm aware of that, and I thought about that. The only problem I have is that the public health officials in Nahant don't have to go by the state guidelines.
Oh, right. But it's a
Maybe
start for
restricted.
somebody who's looking to have an event of what might be required.
Yeah. I'll do whatever the school committee decides, but I spoke with the public health department today, and they wanted us to do our usual process and then direct the applicant directly to the public health department. There's a whole set of paperwork there that they have to fill out too.
Yep.
And it's very different than ours. Ours is more about safety and supervision. Obviously, theirs is more about disease and public health.
Does anybody else have any other questions?
Okay. The other things I wanted to bring to your attention about facilities.
Mr. Parentozzi, do you want us to potentially vote on this?
Yes.
Okay, why don't we hold? Do any other school committee members have any discussion about this?
No.
Would anybody like to make a motion to approve the outside facility use at the Johnson School?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the outdoor use of the facilities at the Johnson School with the appropriate protocols in place.
I'll second the motion that was just made by committee member Karas.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. All in favor by a show of hands? Ms. Karas, Ms. Dam, Ms. Anderson, and myself. The motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Parentozzi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The only other thing I had is we obviously are utilizing our own facilities more often outdoors all the time now. We have physical education outdoors. We're using the community garden. And Mr. Andrews has done a remarkable job of expanding our school to include our beautiful environment. And it's just great to see. It always makes me smile.
Thank you for saying that.
So, Madam Chair, with your permission, I'll move right to my report.
Please do.
Okay. The summer activity planning is really solidified. We have all of our staff on board, and all the paperwork is actually completed, with the exception of one person. And the paperwork may not be a problem. We hired somebody who had worked for the town in a different capacity, and the paperwork may still be good. So we're waiting for the treasurer's office to tell us if that person needs new paperwork. But everyone's been quarried and fingerprinted, and we're in great shape for the summer program.
What was the total enrollment number? Do you have?
44, I believe.
Great.
Yep.
Are there still openings if other people were interested? I had somebody, a parent, asking about it.
Yeah, we're a welcoming organization. If somebody decides to come to our summer program and it's not a health or safety issue, they're welcome. And right now, we can take more students.
And one other question, and I don't remember the answer to this. As long as they live in Nahant, do the student have to be attending the Johnson Elementary School, or as long as they're living in Nahant? Are they?
No, this is a Nahant Public School program.
Okay.
There's a few reasons for it. Number one, we're only authorized to teach students who are registered. And two, we don't want to mix cohorts
Right.
at this late stage because of COVID-19. We've been, I said it last week, if we keep doing what we're doing, we'll keep getting what we're getting. And in terms of COVID-19, that's all good. So we want to keep doing it. I want to bring two things to your attention. One is both of them are in your packet labeled 6B. And there's been a lot of movement on the first item in your packet. As you can see, our rooftop unit replacement had some monstrous numbers attached to it. I'm no engineer, but it just didn't feel right to me. So what I have done is I have contacted Vicky Manson, the town consultant on energy affairs, and I've contacted an engineer that somebody I know worked with in Swampscott and in Falmouth. And what I want the engineer to do is come and take a look at our system. Before we spend $62,000 on what may be an outdated system, I want somebody to say, this is the only thing you can do, or you could do something else. So for example, the system heats the cafeteria and 4 offices. It would seem to me if we separated it and it just a much smaller unit could heat the cafeteria, and we may not even need heat in our offices because we have radiators. Or we could even use local heating units. And then all we would need up there would be an air conditioner unit that's for 4 offices. It just seems like a huge number. I may be wrong, but let's find out. The other thing is that Mr. Barletta and I are going to go into a cooperative process where we put it out on the street for bids, because the town needs a rooftop unit on one of the buildings. And of course, he told me what building it was, but I can't remember it. So hopefully we can get a better price, and B, hitting the streets, we'll get a lower bid. The other item is that, and by the way, I stand by my sentence. I am stunned by the cost of the replacement and repairs. And I really was. The other thing is that our electronic entry system was put in 2007, and it's getting at the end of its usage, and we have an estimate. The estimate that you have in your packet, I've already gotten a second estimate because they put sales tax on it. So the number is 8249.86, and then we don't do deposits. State law doesn't allow us or require us to give people money up front. We pay them when they're done their work. So we are going to be moving forward with this. Now I have some good news for you. Way back when I first started, we did the entry door improvement, and town meeting approved approximately $26,000 for that project. Once again, when I got here, I said to myself, ew, that sounds like a lot of money. So I had a second estimate done. So we have $4,668 sitting in an account for door security work that was approved by town meeting. I've asked treasurer and the town accountant to allow us to use that money to pay down the $8,600 to about $4,000. But even if that doesn't happen, we do have the money in our fiscal 21 accounts to pay for that. So we are going to be moving forward. I just wanted to bring it to your attention before we went forward. And that includes proximity card readers. Ours are, if they were put in 2007, they're almost 15 years old, and that's at the very edge of their useful life. And the last thing I wanted to do was spend $7,000 and not spend another $554 and get the new readers. So, all the hardware and software will be new, and we'll be able to make our own cards with the new system.
It's a newer system, like a newer technology, because I know.
Right. Okay. 8C. Madam Chair, in your packet, 8C is not on the agenda, but it is informational only, so I feel comfortable creating an 8C this evening. You have a letter in your packet about special education determination, and I sent you a copy of the email that I got at 2:31 yesterday. Every year, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education looks at an array of factors. They look at data and findings of disproportionality. They look at performance of special education students on standardized tests. They look at any problem resolution or mediations, and they look at their compliance monitoring, which they do in a variety of ways. And they give a school 4 categories. The best you can do is MR meets requirements. Then the next one is needs assistance, and the department gets involved with that school district. The third one is needs intervention, and the bottom is needs substantial intervention. So for our 5th consecutive year, and I believe there may have been 1 or 2 more years before I got here, Nahant has met our requirements, so we got the highest determination possible. So that's really good. I want to thank and commend our staff, especially the special education staff, for their excellent work with our students, which resulted in this determination.
That's wonderful.
And Madam Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Parentazzi.
Thank you.
Mr. Andrews, would you like to give the principal's report?
He gets all the fun stuff.
It would be my pleasure to give the principal's report. I do get all the fun stuff. And the pictures. So we did have an active week recently with the Staff Appreciation Week. A big shout out and thank you to the PTO for providing a luncheon and school committee for welcoming the staff for the week. It was wonderful to feel that support, and especially in a year like this, much appreciated. On Wednesday, we had artist Rob Surratt present to the students. And today he came and delivered the Rosa Parks picture that he painted for the school. This was voted on by the staff, and we had the opportunity to accept that. And again, thanks to the PTO for providing this for the students. We're looking forward to sharing it with the kids and making some class connections with it as well. We had a nice turnout for the May 1st event over at East Point with third grade poetry presented by Ms. Durant's class. We had the third graders, fourth graders, and fifth graders dancing in the maypole, and also our fifth and sixth graders drumming with the bucket drumming. A really nice event, and thanks to Jim Walsh, the Nahant Arts Council, for presenting that and inviting us to take place in it. Let's see, we have MCAS starting. We started today in fifth grade. The dates are in the newsletter and also on the website if you have any questions about that. Tomorrow we'll have fourth graders taking part in the MCAS. And recently, to remind everybody, they are making it available to in-person and remote students. And so Mr. Lockwood is working with those folks. And I just want to say thanks a lot to him for really helping with the technology and getting everything going today and for the weeks ahead. I'd like to also let everyone know that Northeastern is returning to the school to provide us with some science lessons that'll take place on May 24th and 25th. They'll be in person and they are vaccinated, and will be bringing live animals and working outdoors with students. In the area of facility, we are starting lunch outside again. Students are glad about that. They have more flexibility. They don't have to sit in their assigned seats. We're using the rings to keep social distance, but it gives them an opportunity to socialize, even if it is from 6 feet away. And last week, you may have heard the classes have started planting in the community garden. Potatoes, peas, and lettuce. We're selecting plants that can be harvested soon and eaten, or left in the soil to survive the summer. The one interesting thing we're doing now is that we're assigning beds to classes. So rather than it being a fourth grade bed that the following year has a new group of students in it, each bed is designated for that that group of students, that cohort, if you will.
That's
So
real
we have a
cool.
class of 2021 bed, and those students are planting that right there. The sixth graders, if they're available to help the kindergartners come in the following year, they can come back and help those, because that bed will go back to those students. However, the first graders will have that bed for 6 years. And in the summertime, it's theirs to work if they are able to. So the idea is really use it for school, but also put the ownership with the kids. And hopefully, with the community can be interested in visit it and work on it over the summer, knowing that in the fall, it's going to be theirs still for their class. And the new teacher will see what they were doing actually over the summer. In the Forest Playground, Chris Gagliolo has been working on making some garden signs to identify the various gardens that are inside and around the Forest Playground, so you can find plants there. And I also want to recognize that we've had some great work out front from Abbas. He's been volunteering and putting out wonderful plants, and those have been supplied by the PTO. It looks great up front, and it's nice to have that community involvement. Finally, in the area of upcoming events, we have, as I mentioned, Northeastern already. Also, we have Memorial Day, where we will be presenting the Gettysburg Address. We're going to be practicing that. We've already been practicing it. We'll have a competition on Friday where we'll have outside judges deciding who will be able to recite that address on Memorial Day. We're also working on Scoops Night. The PTO has reached out to me. I want to thank Nella Raffaelli for coordinating that. And the Department of Public Health is going to be working with us and determining if what we need to do to make it safe. So this will all be approved through that process. But we're looking forward to having some outside enjoyment and socializing. And then finally, I looked at let everyone know that the sixth grade graduation will be at the Nahant Country Club. And that's on June 16th, and we'll have the high school awards that evening as well. And with that list, that concludes my report.
Well, I'm sure that there has been a discussion on what's going to happen for field day this year.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's going to have to look very different.
It is. Yes, but we are planning that field day.
Great.
Much like phys ed this year. You know, we've had activities and movement and fun things that are, you know, safe and distant. I think we've all pretty much ruled out not having inflatables, just because that's just doesn't seem, that's outside my comfort zone right now. Yeah. But we'll definitely be outside having fun, playing and enjoying, you know, each other, music, so many of the components that make field day special. So, and I know Ms. Polito, Ms. Shenna, parents are already reaching out. And so I'm happy to announce that we will be having a field day.
With that being said, are they going to have, I know that parents haven't been able to come into the building, but are parents going to be able to help out in any way for field day?
We will be able to have parents help out outside.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and as long as everyone is, we're still going to be maintaining masking, of course, social distance. Even if things change more over time, I expect that, you know, as a school, or at least from my comfort zone, we would have people, I think, be a little bit more cautious. But absolutely, I think it'll be great to have more people involved.
Oh, that's great.
Does that make sense, Superintendent Parentozzi?
Absolutely. Yeah, on a weekly basis, I have conversations with the public health nurse and our school nurse, and we, all three of us, are aligned in the concept that at this time of this in the school year, when we have 5.5 weeks left, conservatism is in everyone's best interest. The last thing we want after all this time is to have an outbreak in the Johnson Elementary School. Our children and our staff are used to wearing masks. So we're gonna keep being very conservative. And I know there are people that disagree, but there are people who think that, you know, we're too conservative. But in terms of health and safety, I'm not sure you can be too conservative. You know,
of course, we also keep in mind it is a school event, and students don't have a decision about if they're going to take part or not. So they'll be there, hopefully, having fun. And so that they'll make everyone feel more comfortable.
Pretty consistent with outdoor group events. Like, my kids are participating in sports, and even though masks mandate has been lifted for outdoors, you know, when there's larger groups in sports, and even the spectators for sports are wearing masks because it's just a larger group of people. So it makes sense to continue to have that mandate for even an outdoor school event. I think
It's still required by the state for sports. Those guidelines haven't changed.
That's right. And we're held to the highest standards because of the mandate. You must send your children to school, as compared to, you know, if you don't want a child to play sports, that's up to a parent, guardian, or the child. You know, we're held to a higher standard too.
Yep.
It's just good to hear that there will be some, you know, field day.
Absolutely.
There. That's great. So we can move on to public comment and correspondence. So this is the time in the meeting where, you know, members of the public, if you would like to make a comment, please type into the chat your name and your address, and you're welcome to either make a comment by typing into the chat, or if you'd like to make a verbal statement, please note that you'd like to do so, and you could certainly make a comment verbally. And while we're waiting for any comments, are there any members of the school committee who have received outside correspondence since the last meeting?
Hi, Gina. It's Michelle. I received outside correspondence in terms of, it seemed like that there was a question about a finance, but I didn't really get a clear information about what the question was, and I encouraged that person to come to school committee tonight. I don't see that they're in attendance, but just that was something that had occurred and that I had recommended them to come.
Thanks, Michelle. Any other correspondence?
Not on my end.
So in the chat, Natalie Phipps, 32 40 Steps Lane. Thank you, school committee and school staff. So happy about field day and scoops night. This means a lot for the kids. I agree. Thanks, Natalie.
It means a lot to all of us who like ice cream.
Or slush.
Or
too.
slash.
Today is Eat What You Want Day. It's
Yeah.
National Eat What You Want Day, for anybody who didn't know that. They were going through the top list of things that people would eat if they could eat whatever they wanted. And I think I had about every single thing on the top 10 list. So. All right. Seeing no further comments, we can move on to new business, Mr. Parentazzi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, with your permission, I am going to defer to Mr. Andrews on several of these items because he is much more familiar with the details. I'll start. So item 9A, there's an invoice for $442.50, which you just approved the payment for. But Mr. Andrews would like to thank the individuals who are donating money to into our revolving donation account to pay for that. With your permission.
Mr. Andrews.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Superintendent Parentozzi. We're referring to the donation from SWIM tonight. That's Safer Waters in Massachusetts. Donated a tree to the student council and the school to plant on Arbor Day. Sam Morse was able to share some remarks, and we had several members from SWIM in attendance that day. And it culminated in a nice week for us, celebrating poetry and Arbor Day, and also having the author on that same day. And so I want to say thank you to SWIM for really spearheading the effort at the school, in fact, and providing us with a maple tree that'll be there for years to come.
That's wonderful.
Madam Chair, we also want to thank the Department of Public Works here in the town of Nahant, who took out the dead tree stump and did a great job of leveling the area and planting the new tree. It would have taken us many, many hours to dig the hole they dug in seconds.
Absolutely, here.
Madam Chair, the next item is the Johnson Elementary School School Improvement Plan. Once again, I would, with your permission, defer to Mr. Andrews, who chairs the school council. And I want to thank all the members. And I believe we have members here who are going to speak to the item.
Fantastic. Thank you, Superintendent Parentozzi. We do, in fact, this year's members were Ruth Kobus, our 6th grade and 5th grade teacher, Kate Smethurst, a parent, and Nancy Antrim, a community representative. And tonight we are joined by Ms. Kobus and Ms. Smethurst. And we met several times over Zoom, or maybe it was Google Meet, and have developed our school improvement plan, which I think is really special for this year, and going to speak to a couple areas that are important for COVID-19, and also just how to make a school a better place for everybody. We had 5 goals. Our first goal is an academic goal. And if the chair would give me permission, I'd like to share my screen and ask Ms. Kobus to share a bit about part of the academic goal.
So,
Share screen. If you,
yeah, I can, do I have to make you the host in order to do that?
yes.
I think so, yeah, I can do that.
Great.
There you go.
All right. Here. Okay. And excuse me, Ruth, are you there?
I am.
Great.
Our
So one of the areas we were going to talk about is Iready and some other areas we have to improve teaching and learning in this school year.
So our first goal is for the Johnson School to use Iready so that we can identify current trends in math and English language arts, so that we can determine areas for improvement for both students and for the overall academic program. We've been busy starting that this year.
That's right. And we use the Iready assessment 3 times a year as a reminder, and it provides a report. I think in years when we don't have MCAS assessments that are typical, we can use this to, and also it's a little bit more frequent, so that we can really identify how students are progressing term by term. Thanks, Ruth.
Thank you.
Goal 2 was to work on finding ways to connect with remote students and in-person students, create digital classroom bulletin boards, and find ways to share work digitally online. Also, how to support all teachers with pre-planning for remote students, and how to support the learning across all areas in the school. Goal 3 was around continuing to reach out to the community and make connections. And on your report here, you'll see that I've highlighted things that are more new in this school year. And so we looked at The Wall That Heals, which is going to be visiting the Nahant this summer, provided by the American Legion. And this was moved up from the pandemic. And we have a volunteer who's familiar with this and will be reaching out to us with materials about it so that we can become familiar and visit that. We also looked at remote field trips from Northeastern University. And I have to say, it's just so interesting this year because things change so fast that we put in here about remote field trips, and we're already welcoming them back to the school. And so I think that we will have remote field trips for folks who want to access that, but we're also going to be working with them in person. We also have Kate Smethurst on the group here, and I believe she's on the call. Hi, Kate. How are you doing?
Good. How are you all?
Good. Kate's a parent of several students or several children, I should say. And she's really been helpful, adding a lot of insight to what the school can do moving forward. Would you talk about a few of the points on the improvement plan, Kate?
Yep. Goal 4 has been a lot about, being an open and welcoming school, inclusion, and safety, and just making sure emotional and social awareness is, top of the list with all of our students. And a couple of the main points of goal 4 have been new families coming in and making sure that we have some processes in place to welcome new students, working on a questionnaire for new students and families to fill out, and then trying to get those families connected with established families who can kind of show them the ropes or answer questions, or putting people together that have kids in the same grade, so that these new students are going into their first few days and weeks and possibly already knowing someone. And along with that, we've started putting together a whole list of extracurricular activities that students already take advantage of in the town and with the school and in surrounding towns, and making sure that new families know where they can look for things for their kids' activities to do. And that's now listed on the school website and is kind of an ongoing sheet and spreadsheet that we can be updating as new things become available. And then another part has been focusing on diversity awareness months, and to make sure that everyone feels supported. And some of the things like that we've talked about have been making sure that we're, any student that wants to kind of have themselves or something important to them represented, looking into, what month that might be. So bleeding disorders, there's a few students in school that deal with that, and March is Bleeding Disorders Awareness Month. June is Pride Month. May is ALS Awareness and Allergy Awareness Month, and like April is Autism. And those are just examples, but trying to make sure that if people are wanting to draw attention and awareness to that kind of thing, being able to plug in certain activities like wearing colors, or having the students do little presentations about something that's important to them, and just making sure that as a school community, we're supporting those different groups that, just to show that we're open and welcoming, and making sure everyone feels comfortable at the school.
Thank you.
Mr. Andrews, I have just some input. I know you are aware, at least, that prior to COVID, Mrs. Delicio and I had worked to implement a program into the school system called Understanding Our Differences. And I think that program could really fall in this category, because it introduces children to differences with students who have medical disabilities or learning disabilities. It's like broken down to different categories for different ages, and it's geared towards grades 3 through 5, with an overall goal to be inclusive and to be an ally. So, if this is something that I could talk more about with anybody, I'd be happy to try to bring that back, because I think that we did the allergy module and we were going to do the diabetes module next, but unfortunately COVID hit and we didn't have that opportunity.
I can say I talked to Cheryl about this actually in this goal. So she's well aware of the goal, and we're planning on using the other modules going forward. So we're hoping that's going to be part of the curriculum material that we can use to teach in these areas.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it's a great program.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Andrews, I think that this is great, and I never in 52 years have seen on a public school document LGBTQ written about 3 times, including gender, identity work. So as a woman who is part of that community, bravo, that's great. One suggestion that I had, I'm not sure if this is fully baked yet, and if not, fine. And if so, it might just be something that you take into the community, is on this page that you're showing, where it talks about staff development down at the bottom. Just a caution that I think that I've been pretty active in the anti-racism and racial equity work, that has been going on all our lives, but is amplified, particularly over the last year. And in the last sentence, just being careful that we're not saying that because of the identity, that is the educational risk. that the educational and social risks for multiracial, Black, Latinx, et cetera, as well as homeless and gay youth come because of racism and homophobia, not because of the race or the identity. And so just being careful that when we say they're the most vulnerable to challenges in schools, that we say that it's not necessarily because of their identity, but because they live in an environment where they are marginalized by students who are not gay or not Black or Latino, Asian, et cetera. And that, the work with staff, I think, is about identity. And I know just, my mom's side knows that you are very active here in being very involved in this yourself as an educator, but just identifying, for staff that it's about the oppression that exists, and that in celebrating these differences, we're also countering limited ideology that would affect these kids that are more marginalized. We want to bring that out. So just a nuance there that I wanted to pull out.
No, yeah. Language is important, and I appreciate you mentioning it.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. The other thing that we don't have expressed here, and again, it's kind of fallen off the table because of COVID-19, is we belong to the Massachusetts Partnerships for Youth, which is a nonprofit organization that is really expert in trainings. We had meetings with parents, students, and staff about some of the health and safety, social, emotional, and also physical things like cyber safety. So they are very, very knowledgeable about these kinds of things, and we probably need to reinstitute that regular contact with them.
Great point. They're a great resource, and we love to see them again as we re-invite outsiders.
Yeah, they can actually do things
Virtually. Yeah.
Of course, right, of course.
I wonder if we'd get better participation if it was virtual. You know what I mean? People can just log on and listen while they're making dinner or,
Yeah.
putting kids to bed. I actually think that that's a great idea.
I remember the cybersecurity one, and I think, a lot of parents walked away from that feeling happy that you guys provided that, but also very scared / informed about what goes on, so I think, it was excellent that, you had this available for them. And if there's more to come on topics, I think I agree with Gina that, it's easier to attend if you don't have to leave your home.
I remember there was always a discussion about child's care because,
Yes.
families where, if they're, so if the parent could stay at home, I think, even if it was a hybrid model where some people could come in person, further on like next school year, but there's also a virtual option, just as technology lends itself to better participation. I think it'll be great.
Yeah.
I think that's an excellent point. I think all of our trainings and professional development and learning is actually going to be altered in the future because of what we've just experienced. And there's no question. I was having a conversation with someone and we were having a meeting virtually. And I said, the meeting is basically as long as it would have taken me to drive to and from the meeting. So you're absolutely right.
If to go back to the school improvement plan, if we just had one more goal there, and I didn't mention this earlier, but the light yellow are things that we've been working on for more than a year, and the brighter yellow are things that are more new. Just to give you a little bit, and then the other ones are things that are more ongoing. If that's helpful when you're looking at this, and so here. We're looking at making a new orientation guide for students at the start of the school year. and also especially thinking about students who are new to the in-person experience at the school. And then also thinking about ways we can support mental health wellness in, and how to use positive reinforcement to promote good mental health, and also how to calm oneself, and really just use some metacognition skills, I think. And we've already had this underway again, but a new focus in the coming school year. Kath Sullivan, our school council, has been really great about helping with that, as of all teachers, about integrating that idea of talking to yourself in your mind and being positive, and how that can influence you in the school day. And that's the final goal for our school improvement plan. I'd be happy to take any other questions about that last goal.
Tell that obviously a lot of work has been put into it, and thank you, Mrs. Kovas and Mrs. Smethurst, for joining the meeting to present it.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for having us on the meeting tonight and taking the time to review the document.
Sorry, I'm just going back to the agenda. So we can move on to the town meeting update.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 9C is simply reminding everyone that at noon this Saturday, we have town meeting. And in your packet, I have taken the liberty of taking the 243-page document and listing for you the items in the document that pertain to the Johnson Elementary School or the Nahant Public Schools. In addition, of course, I want to highlight that the inside cover and front and back are filled with student art about the memories they have of growing up in a very special place. The only comment I want to make is that the students' art is more outstanding than it looks on this print. It's really quite good, and it loses quite a bit when you print it on the kind of paper that it's printed on in black and white. Actually, it's black and beige. So I'm not going to belabor that, but in your packet you have all of the page numbers of the school-related financial data and other data, and I will be, of course, at town meeting to make a presentation if asked, and to answer questions if they are asked. And Madam Chair, with your permission, I'm going to say I think Mr. Andrews did a wonderful job of talking about Memorial Day. So I'm going to pass on that.
Right. Would you like to move on to personnel matters?
Certainly. I have some good news. It's not a surprise to members of the school committee because I've been communicating with you during the day. We now have an employment agreement between Mary DeGuardia and the Nahant Public School District for the position of Director of Special Education. I checked references over the weekend on Friday, Saturday, and yesterday. They were outstanding. And in all honesty, I already knew that. I hired Mary DeGuardia as the Assistant Director of Special Education, and subsequently the Director of Special Education when I was the Superintendent in Somerville. After she retired, she has been working in Arlington, and the three individuals I spoke to from Arlington where they just raved about her. And the number one comment was, we're sorry that she's not staying. And the reason she is not is that the position that she had was made into a full-time position. And as an MTRS retiree, she can't work more than a certain number of hours nor make a certain amount of money per year from public coffers. And so their fortune is our fortune. They're adding a full-time staff member, and we're getting a part-time experienced director of special education. The interviews took place in April. The 27th, 3 people were interviewed. The 29th, 2 people were interviewed. And then the committee forwarded 3 finalists to me. I met with 2 of them on May 4th and 1 on May 6th. And Mrs. DeGuardia was the number 1 choice of the interview team. So, and she signed for 1 year. And so that's all good news.
Great news. Thank you. Sounds like she'll be a great addition to the team. Any other personnel matters, Mr. President?
Actually, in the next meeting or the one after that, Mr. Andrews and I will make a report on how we're moving forward with our 4th grade position.
Okay. In terms of business from the committee, I said this at the beginning of the meeting, but welcome Beth Anderson to the school committee, our newest member. Welcome. We're glad to have you. I don't know if any other school committee members have any business they'd like to discuss.
Not at this time.
If there's
None
no,
from me.
thank you. If there's no other business, I can take a motion to adjourn to executive session, not to reconvene to open session. And we'll be meeting in executive session to conduct a strategy session in preparation for negotiations with union personnel and approval of executive session minutes from April 27th.
Yikes, that is a
All
mouthful.
that.
I would like to make a motion to enter into executive session, not to reconvene to open session. And I know I'm forgetting something else.
Can I have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Ms. Dam. All in favor? A show of hands. And we thank you and have a good night.
Right.
Everyone.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
I gotta leave.
Yep, you do.
Like, what's going on?
That was funny.
All right.
That was funny.
Beth, so Beth won't be voting on the executive session minutes. So we'll call to order the executive session at 8:24. Sorry, I'm just opening this up. So Mr. Parentazzi, if you'd like to go first. Beth, did you get the document with the no, what I'm looking at is the memorandum of the agreement between the Swampscott School Committee and the Nahant School, but we can't discuss that at this meeting, correct?
Madam Chair, we can discuss it if you choose to. We can table it until the next meeting. What we can't do is vote on it because
Right.
it wasn't on the
Right.
executive session.
Do we have new
Public agenda.
documents? I'm pulling up the email. Do we have new documents regarding the negotiations? Or are we still working off of the previous documents?
I should have, I apologize if somehow I messed this up, but you should have a memorandum of agreement, and you also should have the agreement for educational services back to back.
Would they have been in the regular packet that you sent out at 2:07 today?
No, because that's.
No, they are, the executive session are always sent just to you.
Okay. I don't, would it have come from Chris Katzos or from you, Tony?
It would have come from me, and I apologize if somehow
I'm looking now. I might have missed it. Yeah.
I think what was sent with the executive session documents, and that was at 1:30 this afternoon,
right.
was the negotiation with Swampscott. I'm just realizing this now. And then.
Oh, here it is. I found it. I got it.
Yeah,
What time was it at?
Yeah.
it was 1:31.
Sorry.
And it says confidential executive session documents.
Yeah.
And I'm going to open mine to make sure both of them are there. That's what I intended to send.
It's a memorandum of agreement between the Swampscott School Committee and the Nahant School. That's what's.
And then if you go back to the 6th page, that's the actual contract.
Oh, okay. So is that what we're discussing tonight?
Yeah, all I think, Madam Chair, if you want me to speak to it, members of the school committee, this is our 5-year contract for 7th through 12th grade education with Swampscott. Previously, we began the negotiations with Mrs. Sherlock and Ms. Ballantyne and myself, and we weren't getting very far. And then Mrs. Lane joined us, and instantaneously we had an agreement.
I work some magic.
But the important thing to know is that on page 2 of the contract, the increase every year is 2.5%, which is extremely reasonable for documents and services. That's regardless of the number of students. So for the next couple of years, we're paying a little bit more per capita, and then as we go up, we'll be paying a little bit less. But this is the type of document both finance committees wanted and both school committees wanted. I negotiated the first contract of this type 5 years ago. Prior to that, there was always a per capita. So if the number went down 10, you had $150,000 more to pay or less to pay. This gives us a nice flat projected finance. And in our first 5-year contract, the numbers were higher than this. And we made our case for our low increase. And the Swampscott negotiators were very supportive. So as you see, the increase goes from an increase of $39,198, and then 5 years later, the increase is $43,268. That's basically flat. So it's a great financial arrangement. Everything else is boilerplate. I did send you a copy of my correction of item 2 in this contract, because I was there 5 years ago and remember what item 2 is about. Item 2 is about, not now, but in 2026-27, we don't reach an agreement. And the school committee decides to send its children to Marblehead. That gives the Nahant School Committee and the Swampscott School Committee the option of educating what then would be juniors and seniors so that they can finish their high school career in Swampscott, frankly, for a whole bunch of money.
Mm.
But at least it gives you the option. That's what its intent is. And in the third line of item 2, the date is wrong. It should say 2026-27, and it says 21-22.
Okay.
It just wasn't changed.
Mhm.
Other than that, it's all boilerplate. Nothing's been changed. The memorandum of agreement, on the other hand, had a lot of changes in it. So I don't want to say anything about that till I have an opportunity to really dive into it, Madam Chair.
So this is something that we can review as a group and discuss at the next executive session meeting.
Yes.
And then vote upon.
Yes, the Swampscott School Committee is meeting this week in executive session, but they obviously knew about it, and so they could put it on their agenda. We didn't know about it till yesterday, and even if I scurried, I wouldn't have had the 48 hours required for you to vote on it. So, Madam Chair, with your permission, I'll contact Swampscott and tell them that we're going to deliberate on it on May 25th, and then figure out what school committee meetings are close to one another so that both school committees can talk about it publicly and then approve it publicly within a week or two of one another.
And is it voted on at executive session, or it's?
Yes.
Okay, and then publicly voted upon again at open session?
The Madam Chair, the appropriate thing, the short answer is yes, you can do it both times, or you as chair can simply announce what happened in executive session.
Okay.
Either way, so you can either confirm and affirm the vote, or you can choose to do another public vote.
Okay.
Totally up to you. What you can't do is just do it in executive session,
Right.
because it has a huge financial implication.
Mr. Parentazzi, I guess my confusion in the beginning of executive session is, are we also in executive session tonight discussing negotiations with the Nahant Teachers Association? Is that what's on the agenda?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but do we have, that's what I was asking, do we have new documents regarding that?
I do not.
Okay.
And the reason is because, I've been pushing them for weeks. And today, last week and this week, I met with the president and said, what's happening? So today I was told, quote, the negotiating team is meeting twice a week and we're moving slowly.
Okay.
So I said, does that mean we are not going to have negotiations that are substantive until September? Because I'm perfectly aware that the NTA and the MTA don't want to negotiate during the summer weeks. And she said, oh no, we will be ready to negotiate prior to the end of school.
Okay, so we don't actually have any updates to discuss in that
No.
regard. Okay.
The only thing I do want to say to you is that, and I think I owe Ms. Anderson the draft version of the school committee's position. I don't think I said.
You just resent the two documents. There was two separate documents out. It was like A and B.
I don't think Beth was on the school committee when I sent you the updated.
Right.
So I owe her that.
Right.
I'll send it. I'll
Okay.
probably before I go home tonight.
Yeah, the
That's fine.
contract negotiations.
Great. And that is, just so I understand what's coming, that is our position about the current state of negotiations with the Nahant Teachers Union?
What I will do is I will send you a copy of the current contract
Okay,
and then a 3-page document, which would be the initial positions for these negotiations, which we've been discussing. Obviously, they're not final positions. They're just opening positions.
yep.
So if we don't have anything else to discuss regarding the Nahant Teachers Association negotiations, do any of the school committee members want to discuss the memorandum of agreement? Or would we like to, table discussion to allow, I know that you just got this document, we could also table it to discuss at the next executive session meeting and then vote upon it, at the same meeting.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to review it yet, so I would rather wait.
As would I. I haven't had a chance to review it either.
That makes
Same.
sense. And then Lauren will be here. So I don't think we have any other executive session
Nope.
business other than approving the minutes from our last executive session meeting, which was part of this. So the last executive session meeting was on April 27th. Is there any discussion about the minutes from that meeting? Can I have a motion to approve the executive session meeting minutes?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the executive session minutes dated April 27th, 2021.
I'll second.
All in favor? And Beth, you would abstain
Oh,
from
sorry.
that. That's okay. So
Sorry.
Ms. Karas, Ms. Dam, and myself. So I think that's it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, thank you,
Sonia.
everybody. I'll send these over to you, Tony, these minutes.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yep,
Michelle.
we'll take care of them.
Okay,
Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody. Glad to be here.
Have a good night.
thank you, Beth.
Great,
Bye,
great
Beth.
seeing you.
Thank you.
Well, welcome, Beth.
Thanks, Tony. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Bye.
It's 8:37.
Oh, wait. Oh, we didn't. Oh, adjourn.
That's okay.
Okay.
8:37, we're adjourned.
8:37.
I got you.
You're
All
right.
right.
You're adjourned.
That gives the secretary some latitude to decide who made the motion and who seconded it.
Yeah,
All right. Thanks, guys. Sorry, still learning. Bye.
thank you.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.